All right, everyone. So it turns out that some of my predictions from yesterday were indeed correct, and we have some more news announcements and events going on in Raid Shadow Legends. Now, we've kind of entered one of those busy periods where we have a lot going on in-game right now, and I wanted to go over some of the new stuff today that we have that we didn't actually have yesterday. And as predicted, we have a whole bunch of stuff. Now, of course, we have the Void Rush, which I'll talk about really quickly. We have the new challengers, which are the new champions, and the information on them revealed, which we'll talk about really quickly. But the majority of the video that I wanted to focus on today is this new Extreme Fusion challenge that we have. That's right, even Polarium is saying that it is going to be an Extreme Fusion challenge. So when Polarium says that it's going to be extreme, you guys should definitely be very well prepared for what this could end up taking. Now, really quickly, let's just go over the new champions. We do indeed have the info on all these new champions now. If you take a look, they should actually be in the index of the game as well. And I went through, some of them looked pretty decent, which is good because I was really worried that they would pretty much all be really bad. And that's a problem because when we have a whole bunch of new champions and then they're all really bad, what that does is that dilutes the champion pool, making it more difficult to get the things that you are looking for and more difficult to get really good champions. So at least that's a little bit on the bright side. We do indeed have that out now. Now, the Void Rush is actually officially out now. Yesterday, I talked about this. Always make sure that you double check those. So going to the actual summoning portal, go to the little information screen right here. And as you can see, if you go down to Void Shards, we do have the rates doubled, and they reflect it in the info screen. So 16% chance for epics, 1% chance for legendaries. That is double rates. If you go to ancient shards, you'll see they are 8% and 0.5% for legendary. That means that there is no double rates event going on for sacred shards because it's only epics and legendaries. Only legendary rates will be doubled. You're guaranteed to get an epic anyway. So it'll be 88% chance for epics and 12% chance for legendaries. So no double rates for sacreds or ancients, only for void shards. But as you can see, it is active, and I would always recommend that everyone double check this little screen before you end up summoning your shards, just in case, because I've heard of people in certain time zones where they might be an hour or two behind when the actual game announces the events. Maybe there's just some lag, maybe your client hasn't updated. I don't know the exact reason, but you might as well just double check before you pull your shards, realizing that you actually pulled it when there was no double rates going on. So once again, this is only for void shards as well. I've seen a lot of posts of people pulling a bunch of ancient and sacred shards as well. Maybe people just feel like pulling all their shards anyway, but the double rates event right now going on is specifically for void shards only. So now that we have that out of the way, we do have a whole bunch of events going on. Like I said, this is going to be one of the more busy periods in Raid Shadow Legends. There's kind of busy periods and then there's lulls, and now there is a lot of stuff going on. So we have another one of these ginormous champion training events. It is a 10-day champion training event, another 25,000 point one, and it actually looks very, very similar to the last 25,000 point champion training event that we had. Now, there is a champion that you get from the champion training event. Once again, it is at that 19,400 point mark. Very similar, if not exactly the same as the one for the Halloween Jack Fusion. I noticed because right afterwards, you end up getting those 4 ancient shards, and then at the very, very end, you get that legendary skill book. Now, the champions, we'll get into the actual fusion and what it's going to require, but a lot of these events, especially the ones that have the picture of Brachus in the background. That's right, Brachus is who the fusion is going to end up being for. That means that that event is going to have champions, or it's going to somehow be a part of the challenge fusion that we have going on right now. So as you can see, that's the champion training event. If you go to the tournaments, as predicted, we do indeed have a champion chase tournament. Didn't even have to wait until the last day. I know that in the video yesterday, those of you guys who watched it, I gave the advice that whenever Polarium only ends up announcing one thing, it's a little bit suspicious because they usually like to have at least a few things going on in the game at once. And yesterday, a lot of the events were ending and they announced a double rates for voids, but nothing else at the time, at least when I ended up making the video. And I said, hold off, don't summon your voids yet, wait and see what Polarium does. There might be some more events coming up. I said that there would probably be a summon related event because they usually recently have been having summoning related events when they end up having these double raid events. Sometimes they don't, but recently it seems like they have. And we just had a summon rush a couple of days ago, so it made sense. Champion Chase would be the next thing on the list, and there it is. Right here, as predicted, we do have a Champion Chase tournament going on, and it is going to be for the Brachus Fusion. Same with this Dragon tournament. As you can see, they both have Brachus in the background. These two events, or I guess tournaments technically, are indeed going to be a part of the Brachus Challenge Fusion. And I'm going to mention something very important about this specific Champion Chase tournament. Like I said, guys, before you go crazy into the summons and before you really get too much into this event, you definitely want to familiarize yourself with what is going to be required of this Challenge Fusion. That is, of course, if you're going to go for it. Polarium is even saying that it's going to be a challenge fusion, and that means that it's probably going to be a challenge. I mean, the last couple of fusions have been pretty difficult by themselves, and Polarium hasn't even said they've been a challenge fusion. But now, with the challenge tag added to it, who knows what the last few events are going to be like. I'm definitely worried for sure. But as you can see, here's the Champion Chase Tournament. 6,000 points for the final reward. Another champion that is going to be required for the Fusion. Pretty typical of these events and what they've looked like in the past. They also have this Dragon Tournament going on. Again, 2,500 points for the final reward, which is going to be another key component or another piece of the puzzle required for the Fusions. Very, very similar to what we've had in the past. Now, let's actually go ahead and take a look at the requirements for this Extreme Fusion Challenge. As much as I really am wanting content, at least I'm happy that Polarium, ever since the Foley mistake where they did not end up doing this, ever since the Foley Fusion, it seems like they have been giving us at least a little bit of a roadmap for the events that are going to contain pieces for the Fusion. They did not end up doing this for Foley, and what happened is that led to a disaster where one of the last events for the Foley Fusion was a summoning tournament. I believe it was actually a Summon Rush tournament. And there was a champion that you needed in that Summon Rush that was not until something like 2,000 points. And a lot of people had already spent all the resources getting all the other champions from the crazy champion training tournament, just like the one that we have right now. There was another one that required a whole bunch of points that you had to get very close to the end. If not, I think even for that one, you had to get to the very, very end. And then all of a sudden, people were really surprised when the last event, for the last piece of the puzzle to complete the fusion, you needed to summon a bunch of shards. And ever since then, it seems like Polarium has at least been giving us a bit of a roadmap, which is nice. But, I mean, we really have been getting a lot of summoning events and a lot of fusions lately. I don't know how to feel about that. I talked about it a lot in a video yesterday, so today I specifically wanted to just focus on the information behind the actual fusion itself. So, the time has come for our toughest fusion event yet. Yikes, that is definitely scary. I did not read this word for word yet, so that was definitely a bit surprised reading that just now. Letting you get your hands on the Ferocious Legendary Champion, Brachus the Shifter. Not gonna lie, definitely not a terrible fusion champion. I think a lot of people were pretty underwhelmed with Halloween Jack. He did not hit as hard as people thought he would for being an HP-based champion. Brachus the Shifter is, you know, I don't think we have a ton of people who really have tested him out. I've heard he's pretty decent. I've heard he's better than Halloween Jack. So it seems like a pretty decent fusion champion. He's probably not top 5, not to my understanding at least. But for a fusion, you know, unless it's really as difficult as they say it is, which who knows, Polarium being Polarium, it definitely might be. Seems like a pretty decent fusion champion nonetheless. This will be a hard-fought challenge, but for those who succeed, the reward will definitely be worth it. Brachus the Shifter will be available for fusion from Friday, November 15th to Sunday, November 24th, so only a 10-day window. To fuse Brachus, you'll need to get the following 4 champions: Snorting Thug, Umbral Enchantress, Defiled Sinner, and Corpse Collector. As always, they will be available through events, challenges, and battles. Here's how you get them. So very important to familiarize yourself with this list, and even if you have to take notes or somehow keep track of this so that you guys don't end up double dipping and wasting resources, very important, especially for the second champion right here, Umbral Enchantress. You guys will see in a second. Make sure that you guys plan this out, especially for the 2 summoning events, because we have a champion chase tournament, which is going on right now, with the double rate event for void shards, but then there's going to be another summoning event, Summon Rush, so you don't want to go too crazy on one of them and then skip out on the other and realize that you've just used all of your resources, and now you can't end up getting the last piece of the puzzle to complete the fusion because you used all your summoning materials in another event. that's going to be like the Foley disaster all over again, except at least the good news now is that we know what is coming so that you can take the time to at least prepare for it a little bit. So Snorting Thug available from Summon Rush November 20th through 22nd, or fused from the following 4 champions. Sorcerer's Catacombs of Narbuk, that's going to end up being a campaign. Rotting Mage available from Ice Golem's Peak. Mystic Hand available from Arena Assault, which is going to be an arena event coming up soon, and Malbranch available from a Fire Knights tournament. Definitely make sure that you guys plan around these dungeon tournaments and the dungeon champions as well. As you'll see here, like Malbranch, if you don't have her, Fire Knights tournaments. And then we have right here for Defiled Sinner, Witness available from Fire Knight's Castle. So once again, they have enabled the limited time drops in the actual dungeons. You can see them right here. So for Ice Golem's Peak, we have that guy. For Spider's Den, we have her. Dragon's Lair, we have him. And Fire Knight's Castle, we have her. So double check your vault to see if you actually have those champions, first of all. Second of all, if you don't, try to actually min-max. And once again, efficiency is the name of the game for Raid Shadow Legends. Try to plan things out so that you are using your resources as optimally as you can. If you need both Malbranch and Witness, you can plan it out so that you are completing the Fire Knights tournament while also farming for the specific Fire Knights champion at the same time, and that's kind of what having this list here is going to allow you to do. So definitely familiarize yourself with it. I can't do every single piece of the puzzle for everyone individually, or this would end up being an hour-long video, but what I can do is tell you guys, definitely use this information, plan it out, even if it means that you have to take notes or do it in a way that is easy for you, because if you don't, first of all, you're going to end up using way more energy and way more resources than you have to, and second of all, you might end up in a situation where you go really spend a lot of effort, go really hard for this fusion, and then end up getting to a point where, like, for the last Summon Rush, you don't have enough shards because you used them all for the Champion Chase tournament, and then you're kind of just stuck at that point. So Umbral Enchantress, this is an important one because as you can see, we can get her from a Champion Chase tournament, which is going on right now. That was that 6,000 point reward, and also from the Champion Training event. So you only need to get her once. So pick and choose which one of these you want to end up getting her from. You don't need to go too crazy on the Champion Chase tournament, which is going on right now, if you decide to get her from the Champion Training event. So 6,000 points is quite a bit. If you summon a lot of Void Shards, you might end up getting her, but then at that point, you don't actually end up needing to get her from the Champion Training event. And vice versa, if you get her from the Champion Training event, 19,400 points, maybe you want to end up saving a lot of your shards and your resources when it comes to summoning with the Champion Chase tournament, and maybe save it for the Summon Rush so that you can end up getting the required component from that, which is going to end up being the Snorting Thug. Or you could just end up getting all the sub pieces. You know, you can kind of plan this out however is going to best suit whatever resources you have and what you're trying to do. Just take the time to do so. Defiled Sinner fused from these 4 champions. Twin Claw Disciple available from Dungeon Divers events. This is another one, not the one that we have going on right now. That one ends, I think, tonight or tomorrow, but another Dungeon Divers event. Witness available from Fire Knight's Castle. Once again, make sure that you guys plan out the dungeon tournaments with the dungeon champions so that you can min-max those resources and knock out 2 birds with 1 stone. Skink available from the Summon Rush. Very important. Make sure if you guys don't have the Skink, you need it for the Defiled Sinner, which you're going to need for the entire fusion. So you're going to need to plan around the Summon Rush at least a little bit if you need this component right here. Ragemonger available from the Spider tournament from the 18th to the 20th. And finally, Corpse Collector is from the Champion Training event for the Bombardier. Treefeller from the Spider's Den. Tormentor from the Dragon's Lair. And Horospex from the Dragon's Tournament. So, as you can see, all the info very similar to the Halloween Jack one with a few minor changes, but the overall layout of the fusion seems to be similar. I wonder what the extreme challenge part of it's going to be. I'm gonna just put on my tinfoil hat once again. A lot of you guys liked me doing that in the video yesterday. Tinfoil hat, guys, is I think it's going to be the Summon Rush. It's probably going to be a big one. I'm guessing like a 6,000 or 10,000 point Summon Rush. It's going to be very difficult in order to get. Like the Snorting Thug is probably going to be around 6,000 to 10,000 points in the Summon Rush. And then the Skink for the Defiled Sinner, also from the Summon Rush, probably going to require a lot of points from that as well. So besides that, I don't really see too big of a difference between this fusion and the Halloween Jack one. That's the only thing that I could really see Plarium putting the extreme challenge part on it. I really don't know. I could be wrong, but I think their way of saying, be prepared for our most difficult fusion ever, is them saying, you know, this is not going to be easy in terms of the Summon Rush. It's going to require a lot of points and a lot of shards in order to end up getting those last few champions. So be prepared for that, especially considering that we are giving you such a good champion, at least in Plarium's eyes. Anyway, I think I have told you guys enough info in this video. I've gone over a lot of details, and I want to leave it here before I end up rambling and going off for too long. So I'm really hoping that you guys enjoyed this info and this video, and if you guys did enjoy this overview of the event and you want more videos like this in the future, consider subscribing to the channel. Really appreciate the support, everyone. Over 20,000 subscribers. Thank you, everyone. If you enjoyed the video and you do want to help support really quickly as well, take a quarter of a second to toss a quick like. It really does mean a lot. And of course, if you guys are interested in more videos, guides, tutorials, news and update videos like this for Raid Shadow Legends, they should be popping up on the screen right about now. So feel free to check them out. But if not, until next time, have a fantastic day, everyone. And this is Salt of the Salty Guild, signing out.